Researchers surveyed OBGYN residency programs across the US to understand how physicians are being educated about menopause. I don't think this is a surprise, but if it is, only 31% reported having a formal menopause curriculum at all. At all. Only about 7% of physicians in training felt truly prepared to care for women through menopause. 7%. If the professionals themselves are saying we need more education, it suddenly makes a lot more sense why so many women leave appointments feeling completely unheard. The point of today's conversation is not to blame anyone, it's to understand why so many women arrive at exactly the same conclusion. Maybe it's just me. Because if we understand why, we can stop believing it. Hey there, I'm Bria, and welcome to the Period Whisperer podcast. If you're over 35 and ready for real answers about your hormones, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe and stay with us. Hey there, sister. Welcome back to the Period Whisperer podcast. And of course, I have a question for you. Have you ever caught yourself saying, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe I'm just stressed. Maybe I'm not as resilient as I used to be. Maybe everyone else seems to handle everything better than I do. Maybe I just need more discipline. I've said that one a lot. Maybe I just need to try harder. I've said that one too. Maybe I just need to stop complaining. Can I tell you something? I think those four little words, maybe it's just me, might be one of the most expensive thoughts a woman can carry through midlife. Not because of what it costs you today, but because of everything it keeps you from discovering. Because once you believe it's you stop asking questions. You stop looking for answers. You stop considering that maybe, just maybe, there's actually an explanation for what you're experiencing. And it's just my age. Instead, you adapt. When we do this, when we say maybe it's just me, you normalize, you push through. You tell yourself this is probably what getting older feels like. And here's what really breaks my heart for women. It's not that your symptoms disappear, it's that you slowly learn to live around them. You build your life around the exhaustion. Like you don't go out as much anymore. You don't do as many fun things. You don't put yourself in any other positions, which is a lot of what brings us joy. You start to accept the brain fog. You stop expecting to sleep through the night. You stop having sex. You stop avoiding certain workouts because they wipe you out for 2 days. You laugh about forgetting words in the middle of a sentence. You carry snacks around everywhere because your blood sugar feels unpredictable. You schedule around your energy because you never know how you're going to feel. You don't allow yourself to be in pictures because you don't like the way you look. Little by little, your world starts to become smaller and you try to take up less space, not because you're weak, because you've been adapting instead of understanding. And that is very expensive. It's the most money you're spending right now, not just financially, but emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. The cost isn't simply poor sleep or anxiety or stubborn weight. The real cost is the years you spend believing those things are simply yours to carry. The conversations you never had, the information you never learned, the questions you never asked, the solutions you never knew existed. Not because help wasn't available to you, but because you never realized there was something worth looking for. That's the hidden price of maybe it's just me. You know, one of the things I say all the time is that our bodies whisper before they scream. I named the podcast about it. At first, these whispers are subtle. Your periods change a little. Your sleep becomes lighter. Your recovery isn't quite the same. You feel more anxious than you used to. You gain weight despite everything you've always done. Maybe you start snapping at the people you love. Your motivation disappears. And because the changes happen gradually, they're easy to dismiss until one day your body isn't whispering anymore. It's now screaming. Now you're exhausted all day. Your anxiety is affecting your relationships. You're lying awake at 3 in the morning almost every night. You're forgetting appointments. You're avoiding mirrors and photos. Your confidence is completely disappearing. And suddenly, what started as whispers has become something that is impacting every area of your life. And I've learned that there's actually another hidden cost. The longer we spend adapting instead of understanding, the more layers often build underneath the surface. Not because you failed, not because you've ignored your body on purpose, simply because no one ever taught you what those whispers meant. And honestly, I really don't think that's your fault. In fact, I don't think that's entirely your doctor's fault either. So hear me out on this. The point of today's conversation is not to blame anyone, it's to understand why so many women arrive at exactly the same conclusion. Maybe it's just me. Because if we understand why, we can stop believing it. I came across a study recently that honestly stopped me in my tracks. Researchers surveyed OBGYN residency programs across the US to understand how physicians are being educated about menopause. I don't think this is a surprise, but if it is, only 31% reported having a formal menopause curriculum at all. And it was probably small during residency. Think about that for a second. The very specialists many of us turn to during this season of life, many of them never received structured education about menopause while they were training. Even more eye opening, more than 80% of the program directors themselves agreed they need more menopause education and resources. That says something. It tells me that this isn't about people not caring. It's about a healthcare system that's has a long way and a lot of catching up to do. And another report found that only about 7% of physicians in training felt truly prepared to care for women through menopause. 7%. 7. Makes me think of Monica in Friends. 7. But this is not a good 7. If the professionals themselves are saying we need more education, it suddenly makes a lot more sense why so many women leave appointments feeling completely unheard. Again, this is not about blaming doctors. I have worked with incredible physicians who care deeply about women. Many of them are learning alongside us because the science around women's hormones has exploded over the last decade. Why? I don't think it's just because we want more information. I think it's because our bodies are suffering more in the culture and the environment that we live in than ever before. But it helps explain the gap, knowing this. And there's another side of this equation, us, us as women. Research shows that many women enter their 40s with very little understanding of perimenopause. Most of us know menopause is coming someday, but we don't know it can begin 10 years earlier. We don't know that anxiety can be hormonal, that frozen shoulder can sometimes be associated with hormonal changes. In fact, I talk to my girlfriends often, and I've been in this industry for a while, as you know. This is a 400 and something episode of the Period Whisperer podcast. And some of them will be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gone to my chiropractor, my shoulder hurts," or whoever, my physio. And I'm like, "Have you had your hormones checked?" Because frozen shoulder is a real thing. Most of us don't know that heart palpitations, brain fog, joint pain, itchy skin, sleep disruptions, weight loss resistance can all be connected. And not just to perimenopause. Perimenopause often is what tips the domino of underlying issues in us. So, what happens? Women don't recognize these symptoms. Doctors may not immediately recognize the symptoms. Partners don't recognize the symptoms. Friends and family don't recognize the symptoms. And before long, the women experiencing them start questioning themselves. Maybe this is just stress. Maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe everyone feels this way. Can you see how this perfect storm is created? And then at the same time, we're so busy like doing all the things for all the people because we live in this sandwich generation of the last generation who was taught by their parents to respect their elders and give back to your parents, to our generation of children who were completely doted on at all times and kept busy at all times of the day. And this is not because anyone intended for it to happen, but because no one has connected the dots for us. And this is the part where I want to speak directly to you and me, sister, right now. Please stop gaslighting yourself. Your body is always communicating, always. The question isn't whether it's talking, the question is whether you've been taught its language. For years, women have been told to simply push through, to work harder, to sleep when you're dead, to drink another coffee, to exercise more, to eat less, try another diet, to meditate, to take a vacation, to reduce stress. And hey, Sometimes those things actually help. Sometimes they don't help. Because if fluctuating hormones, blood sugar, inflammation, thyroid function, gut health, nutrient deficiencies, nervous system overload, or detoxification are contributing to how you're feeling, I'm sorry, but positive thinking and a vacation isn't going to solve it. Neither is blaming yourself. This is exactly why I believe community changes everything. Because healing doesn't begin with having every answer, it begins the moment you realize, I'm not the only one. The moment another woman says, oof, that happened to me too, something shifts inside you. You stop wondering whether you're broken. You become curious instead. Questions are where healing begins. Learning is where healing begins. And community is where consistency happens, right? It is so easy to be like, oh, I don't have time for this today. I'm just not going to deal with it. And then you just completely forget what your plan was. And then it's weeks later or months later, and things are worse. That's exactly why I created Midlife Mojo, because I got tired of watching incredible women spend hours Googling symptoms at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was one of those women. And I will tell you, I did not like the answers Dr. Google gave me. Or women who are opening ChatGPT, hoping someone somewhere could finally connect the dots. And I'm all for a good Ask ChatGPT something, for sure. But not when it doesn't have the answers from inside of you. I have seen women feeling embarrassed to ask questions, feeling guilty for investing in themselves, feeling like they should already know how their own bodies work. Sister, this isn't because you are not intelligent. You're incredibly intelligent. You've built careers, raised families, led teams, started businesses, taken care of everyone around you. No one ever taught you this. And that's really different. Listen, Midlife Mojo exists because I wanted to build a community I wish every woman had, a place where you can finally understand your hormones instead of fearing them. Learn how your metabolism actually works, understand your lab work, recognize that your symptoms, what they really may be trying to tell you, and build habits that actually fit your lifestyle instead of fighting against it. Ask questions without feeling dismissed or embarrassed, and be surrounded by women who truly understand what this season feels like. And most of all, I want you to rebuild trust with yourself, with your body, because the opposite of maybe it's just me isn't having every single answer. It's believing yourself enough to keep asking better questions. So today, listen to your body, not just when it's screaming. Listen while it's whispering. Those whispers aren't inconveniences, they're invitations. Invitations to understand yourself more deeply, invitations to care for yourself differently, invitations to write a healthier next chapter. And you don't have to revolutionize everything in your life, but every single day we need that check in. What are the whispers telling me? What am I doing about it? What's the little action I'm taking? If you're ready to stop guessing and finally understand what your body's been trying to tell you, I'd love to welcome you inside Midlife Mojo. You can learn everything about the community down in the show notes or go to bit.ly/midlife mojo now, because you deserve more than surviving this season. You deserve to understand it. And once you understand it, everything changes. Sister, you have a clear action step today to be more in your life, to take up more space and not just less on a scale. So take that action, and I'll catch you in the next episode. If you're 35 plus and ready to stop guessing, start understanding your hormones, and feel your absolute best, hit subscribe. That's what we do here.